Hey everyone, and welcome back to Citywide Bytes. Now, for this episode, we're taking a trip to the town of Cedar Plains. It's a quiet little place, very idyllic, where not much happens, except for murder. Lots of murder. Lots of murder. So joining me is author Maggie Giles for her soon-to-be released novel, The Art of Murder, coming out on June 10th. Maggie, welcome back to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I always love coming to chat with you.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Especially as it's always murder with this, with you.
It is always murder.
Yeah. Someday you're going to release this very romantic comedy kind of book, and we're not going to know what to make of it.
There might still be murder in that, though, too. Let's be honest.
Oh, good. All right. Phew. You had me worried there for a second.
Woo.
All right. So, why don't we start with just take us on a quick walk through this book and what this one is all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So, The Art of Murder follows two high school best friends as they navigate their late 20s and the changes that kind of come with growing up, getting married, and committing murder. It basically opens on one of the best friends sort of discovering this darkness inside her and her really trying to come to terms with what that means and how that kind of starts to spiral her life out of control. And really the other point of view is her best friend, who has no idea what's going on, except she's watching this perfect small town that she's grown up in slowly fall apart.
So let's talk about the town, Cedar Plains. This sounds like a really cool setting, and of course, the setting can make or break a book. So, what went into kind of crafting the town, and what role does it kind of serve?
So Cedar Plains is actually a fictionalized version of the town I live in, which is called Collingwood. It is a small sort of touristy town. We have Ontario's ski hills, which are just hills, not mountains. We have waterfront, plenty of vineyards, lots of breweries. It's a very crafty kind of fun place for city tourists to come up. We're just about 2.5 hours north of the city. So it's a really easy kind of day trip destination. I moved up here about 10 years ago, and I've been coming here all my life when it was skiing, because that's always what we did in the winter. So I just love the town. I always thought it was such a great setting. It has so many awesome aspects about it. So when I started writing the book, I purely set it in Collingwood. And I joke about this to this day because as I wrote it, I knew obviously there were going to be a lot of death in it and a lot of people were going to die. So the more and more I wrote it and kind of the darker it trended, I was talking to my family about it. And my mom kind of goes, yeah, I don't think that should be set in Collingwood. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. So I did opt to fictionalize it. And to be honest, it actually helped because I think I was so focused on being rigid to Collingwood and honoring Collingwood that I almost took away from the setting a little bit. Whereas as soon as I fictionalized it, I did still keep a lot of the landmarks that I use. So one local restaurant, I feature it. I don't call it by name, but the way I describe it is very clearly featured. And so I've actually sent it to them and I'm like, look, you're in my book. So it's really cute. But yeah, I think it really helped to let me kind of grow the setting a little bit more and really play into this idea of this perfect small town picture and it just slowly falling apart.
That's great. I love it. Do you think the book would be very different if you set it in a big city? Do you think that would really change kind of what happens?
Yes, absolutely. I think in a larger setting, it wouldn't have been quite as, not that it wouldn't have, sorry, I shouldn't say that. Not that it wouldn't have been quite as impactful to the community. It absolutely would have been. But the idea with this town, and I think a lot of sort of small town stories is you kind of get those mysterious body shows up on a farm or body shows up in the water and nobody really knows what happened. And it's just this really quiet space. So having these murders happen back to back just have such a big impact. Whereas I find in a more populated area, I don't want to say it tends to happen more, but it just seems less likely, I guess.
Yeah, you got you got these small towns where we haven't had a murder in 50 years, 100 years, then it happens, and the cops just have no idea what to do because they just do not deal with these kinds of cases. So
Mhm.
I imagine the bodies just piling up probably just freaks everyone the hell out.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So let us then talk about Courtney Faith, one of your main characters. She's lived this town her whole life. This is where she plans to stay. She's going to raise her kids here. And her best friend, Alexa Huston, who's definitely not quite so nice. She accidentally, causes a death. How would you say this changes Alexa? Does this experience?
Yeah, absolutely. The experience totally changes Alexa. It really awakens something inside of her. She's always kind of been a little bit tougher. She's always had a harder life. She lost her mom younger, and her dad has had an accident. He's an alcoholic. So she's done a lot of the caregiving, and she's now in her late 20s, but she's been working basically her entire career in this dive bar in town because it's really been her only option to kind of keep her dad and her life afloat. So she suppressed a lot of her feelings and a lot of her past. And so when she kind of accidentally sees this death happen, it really sort of awakens this feeling inside her that she just didn't realize was there and now kind of struggles to come to terms with.
Oh boy. And the thing too is it sounds like she kind of is able to sort of justify this a little bit. Like, hey, this is all right. I can keep on doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had comparisons to Dexter because she really does try to almost be a bit of a vigilante and really kind of find the people that have caused harm and take out her desires on them. Not to say, obviously, things get complicated, but that was sort of her intent. And I think because that is her belief, and some of the victims, I don't want to say are deserving, but are perhaps not deserving, has caused some readers to actually root for her and question some of their own morals.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's a question too that we all are faced with. Could we kill someone if we thought they actually had it coming? I mean, like Dexter, of course. A great example. He only uses his darkness to go after what we can all agree with are the evil people in the world. So it's certainly like a bit of a murky moral world to kind of walk into. And now Courtney happens to find out that Alexa is the one behind this. She stumbles upon the evidence, realizes, oh my god, my best friend's a serial killer. How does she handle that?
Well, I can't imagine that she felt great.
Right.
I think with Courtney, the one thing I really struggled with her when I was writing was I didn't want her to figure it out right away. I think as, friends, I have best friends that have been my best friends since we were 10. So people I have a very hard time imagining doing anything like this. And I think that's it, is that she just really struggled with reconciling that this possible murderer was this girl who's been her friend for 15 years. And because of that, even when she was presented with evidence, she's very no, I'm being crazy. I can't, she would never. And so when she finally had to come to terms with that, it made her start to question and worry about things because this is the person that she has trusted for the last 15 years. And if this person is no longer trustworthy and is volatile, she's sitting there wondering, what does this mean for me? What does this mean for my secrets and the things that people don't know about me?
That's right, because Courtney is hardly without some skeletons in her closet. She's got some secrets. We won't talk about them because you guys got to read the book. But does Alexa kind of hold this over her head, hey, if you go to the cops, I'll tell everyone your secrets too?
She does a little bit. She
Yeah.
kind of goes both ways. There's a lot of hey, you can trust me, you can always trust me. But I think what Courtney doesn't fully know and what she starts to see is that there is something inside of Alexa that wasn't there before or that wasn't awakened before. So she trusts Alexa, but she doesn't trust whatever this part of her is.
Oh. Is she able to sort of reconcile and say, oh, well, Alexa didn't mean to, or oh, it was an accident, or oh, they may have had it coming, or I should give her the benefit of the doubt for a while at least?
So kind of yes and no. I think So Courtney, her fiance, is a cop. So she obviously sees a lot of the crime and a lot of sort of what he deals with on a day to day. And so she got a little bit more of an insider on the case. And I think with her, she doesn't think it's okay. But as you and I discussed, is that there were some people that were taken out of this world that were less than savory people. So it's hard for her to kind of reconcile that because she's not necessarily unhappy that particularly one of these people is gone, but she also knows that it's like morally wrong.
Gotcha. All right. Now we've had you on the show in the past for your other two books, Twisted and Wicked, and this book is not part of that series though. This is like a standalone.
This
Um,
is.
is that easier than writing a series? Is it harder because you kind of have to like wrap it all up at the end?
So, a really fun sort of detail about this book, which since we're on video, I can show you. So, I
Yay!
actually started and hand wrote this book in high school. So, this is my
Really?
terrible high school handwriting. Um, it's actually was written originally as like a YA thriller. My characters were in high school. It's really, really bad. Um, but it was great when we were 15. And so it's funny because I tell people that and they're like, this book's really dark. Like, are you okay? I'm like, I promise it wasn't quite as dark when I was in high school, but that was sort of it. I had this idea and I always knew I wanted to like write it. So it was something that, I mean, these characters have been with me for so long. So I think that made it so much different than writing the series. Like when you go in and write a series like Twisted and Wicked, you spend the first book really getting to know your characters. And so when you go into writing the second book, and possibly a third, we'll see, you know those characters so well. So it's easy to kind of tie them into a new scenario and know how they'll react and watch their growth because it's almost a very friendly, comfortable relationship. When you kind of sit down and start to write a new book, you spend a lot of time kind of getting to know your main characters. And I think the really great thing about The Art of Murder is that because I wrote it as a teenager, I really had a grasp on what I wanted Courtney and Alexa to be. And not to say that they didn't change, because they absolutely did. They're adults now. They're almost in their 30s. Like they were 15. We should be concerned. They were 15 when I wrote this. So it was like a different time in their life, so they handle things a little bit differently. But I had always had Alexa kind of trending a little bit more of like the black cat and Courtney being more of the golden retriever. And that was sort of always been their dynamic. So it was really easy to play that into the story.
Okay. So you got to actually take a book that you wrote when you were in high school and publish it. That doesn't usually happen. Usually it's I wrote it in high school, it's buried in a box, that box is in the ocean, you'll never see it. Um, so wow. I'm curious what happened that made you say, you know what, we're gonna actually redo this thing and get it published.
I think it's just always been a story in the back of my head. When I wrote it in high school, it was just such a like, I don't know, we were just having fun with it. And I wrote it sort of for my two best friends at the time, one of them who is still my best friend now. And I kind of based the characters on them. And sort of that's kind of why, not that any of them committed murder. Sorry, I should preface that real quick. But that was kind of the concept. So that it was just so much fun to write. And then when I finally started writing thrillers, as an attempt to get published, I wrote Twisted, I started writing Wicked, and I sort of went, I think I have something here in this book. Like, not in the obviously original version, but in a like, if I take the concept of the story of this girl, now woman, descending into sort of madness and becoming this serial killer vigilante, how can I make that into like an adult story? So I really started thinking more and more about it. I wrote a really, really bad version of an adult story, and it was only about like, it was short by probably about 20,000 words, and I just didn't know what else to put into it. So I had a really, really great beta reader who ripped me to shreds and apologized a million times. And I kept being like, stop apologizing. This is what you're doing. And she really helped me kind of craft the book. And that sort of grew it into what my publisher bought. And then from that point, my publisher bought a book and we actually had a film agent look at it and she came back and made a bunch more suggestions. So then we even changed it again. So it really was a book that I had the original idea, but a lot of people gave me input on to make it into what it is.
That's good. No, that's really good. So you mentioned the film agent. Has there been any talk at all about possibly adapting this?
Not currently. It's such a slow process.
Okay.
So we'll like it'd be love. I'd love to see it one day, but it really was just like she kind of read it and she came back sort of being like, I thought it would be a little bit more this way, and I'd really like to kind of see some changes sort of in some of the character aspects. And one of those things was um giving Alexa a little bit more levity because she was quite dark and it was at times hard to follow her. So it was a little bit, as much as I was like hesitant at first to dial some of her darkness back, I think it did help the overall story because it did help make her more relatable and see her really struggle with this darkness inside her.
Okay. Are you more Team Courtney or Team Alexa?
Oh, that's hard. I think I think I will say Team Alexa, and I'm really sorry, Celeste, that I said that because Courtney is the one who's based off her. Um, but the reason I say that is because I think I just had so much fun delving into Alexa, and her background was just so complicated. And honestly, I really enjoyed having her victims kind of be terrible people. Like, I joke about it because my dad read the book and I say it's a little dark. It's dark. And we were on vacation while he was reading it together. And so I kept like looking at where he was in it. And so finally he passed one part and I went, oh, okay, good. You passed the worst part. And he goes, oh, was it the watching scene? And I'm like, yep, that was the scene. He's like, okay, well, I was a little worried about you. And I was like, that's like one of the first scenes I wrote and I love it. But I am also a little worried about me too. So I
Did
think
that a
because
couple
that,
times actually.
yes, exactly. And that was an Alexa scene. And it was just such a pivotal scene to like her descent and like her choice into her next victim. So I think that was it. But I mean, for other reasons, I adore Courtney. Like I said, I based her off of my best friend, and I still to this day see her. They're not similar at all, but that's still who I see when I think of that character. So she will always have a soft space in my heart.
All right. Now let us talk about the darker aspects of your work. So you have done nothing but like murder and mayhem over the course of your writing career. Do you ever surprise yourself with some of like the depths like you go to here and some of like the real like more intense scenes?
Absolutely. I think I almost don't think I can go further, and then I write something and I'm like, oh. So it's sort of I don't know why. I think maybe it's just it's the media I consume, it's the books that I read. And I love surprising readers. Like if I can kind of make something unique for them, which a lot of them have said with The Art of Murder, because it's not really a who done it, it's kind of a why done it. And you're never really guessing who the bad guy is. You know who the bad guy is. She's literally telling you what she's doing and why. Well, not necessarily why. Yeah, a little bit of why, but you don't fully know why. So I think it was just like really fun to kind of craft something unique like that in the genre. Um, and I'm actually working on a co-writing project with a friend of mine, and we're kind of trying to do like a fantasy, like an adult fantasy kind of story. And I wrote my scene for my character, and I immediately go to her and I'm like, I might have made it too sexy and too dark too fast. It's like, okay, I'll go take a look because I'm just like, this is how I write now, apparently. So just let me know if I need to tame it back. She did not tell me to tame it back. She told me to make it worse. So I
Oh,
think I found a
good.
good partner.
There you go. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Now, as I mentioned before, this book is coming out on June 10th. Do you have like release parties planned? Do you have a little book tour planned? You doing like speaking engagements?
So I have a launch party in Collingwood on July 22nd at one of the local breweries. So that'll be tons of fun. We've done a launch party in Collingwood for all of my books so far. And the local breweries and stuff are just so supportive. And then I don't have a firm date yet, but we're looking at a possible Toronto launch sometime in August.
All right, all right. Well, folks, you know what to do. You go to maggiegiles.com, order yourself your copy of The Art of Murder out on June 10th. If you're in the Collingwood area, go to the launch party. I'm sure it's gonna be an absolute blast. And Maggie, as always, great talking to you.
Always great chatting with you too, Max.